Coming up next, we're talking coaches and some of the most decorated leaders in Oregon sports history. Probably no other person had as much impact on Oregon soccer as Clive Charles. His knowledge of the game and how to teach it is legendary. Terry Mariani and Portland State Athletics are synonymous. As a player, coach, and administrator, she has given a lifetime to advance Viking sports. Dan Miles knows how to coach basketball. He ranks 6th in wins in the history of men's collegiate basketball for all levels and is still going strong. All next on Great Athletes, Great Oregonians.
Welcome to another edition of Great Athletes, Great Oregonians. We share the stories from great athletes that have been inducted into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
And this show is about some of the great coaches in Oregon sports. Now, Katie, you've played basketball all your life. You've coached at different levels. What makes a great coach?
John, I think it's authenticity. I think players today really want to know that you're a real person, that you can coach them without any facade, that your personality is true, whether you're on the court, off the court, whatever situation you're in.
There's no question that beyond the chalkboard, coaching positions full of responsibility, expectations, chemistry.
True, and our first coach had them all. We were lucky and proud to call him the father of Oregon soccer.
No man or woman has done more to advance the sport of soccer in America than Clive Charles. One of many foreign players to bring the grace of the world's game to the United States during the glory days of the North American Soccer League, the native of London chose to stay in his adopted home of Portland and teach the game. And what a teacher. Over the past 17 years, Clive has directed the men's and the women's programs at the University of Portland to over 400 victories, 13 conference championships, 20 postseason appearances, and last year's dramatic national championship, an overtime victory against rival Santa Clara in the Women's College Cup final. Charles has also become a major figure in USA Soccer, managing men's and women's national sides in junior and Olympic competition, and helping to select squads that competed in the World Cup. But the true legacy of this man of sport is the long list of former athletes he has influenced as coach, teacher, and mentor. Clive has always treated his athletes as individuals and people first, looking out for their best interest above all others.
My number one goal is not to win a national championship. My number one goal is to have a positive experience for the athletes that come here. It really is.
Charles would be the first one to say that loyalty has been returned many times over. Clive Charles, a man of the world's sport, has given so much to Oregon, and now he is honored with induction to the State of Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
He's a baseball coaching legend in the state of Oregon. Jack Dunn impacted thousands of baseball players at Portland high schools and Portland State University with a combined 39 years of coaching.
Jack Dunn had an impact on an amazing number of young people at Cleveland High School, Wilson High School, and Portland State University. We could talk all night long about how many games he won at those places, and really he won most of them when you get right down to it. But his contribution was much deeper than that. This is a man who insisted on discipline, on hard work, on integrity and honesty in whatever we did as athletes under Jack. At the same time, Jack taught us about laughing a little bit as we do our job. He is one of the funniest coaches I ever played for and one of the funniest coaches I've ever been around. I had a chance recently to talk to Dale Murphy, who's probably Jack's best-known baseball player. Dale played in the major leagues long enough to win 2 Most Valuable Player awards and become a candidate for baseball's Hall of Fame. And Dale told me, and he said, and he always calls Jack Mr. Dunn. He still to this day calls him Mr. Dunn. And he said, you know, I played in the Atlanta Braves organization for years and years, and I don't think I ever ran into anybody who taught me more about baseball than Jack Dunn. Jack Dunn is one of the great baseball men in the country and has been. He's had articles published in national magazines. He's come up with new concepts for the game. And with all that said, Jack's major contribution was to the youth of Portland. And it was to the integrity and the lifestyle and the enrichment of a whole lot of young men. And those young men will remember Jack Dunn forever.
Now there's 3 things that I learned over the years of my coaching career that I'd like to pass on to you. 1, parents, relax. Vicarious participation is great, but don't destroy your child to protect your ego. Then I implore you to defend the extracurricular activities programs in our schools. The athletics, the band, the drama, all these programs. These activities are motivational vehicles for our youth to complete their education. And they teach self-expression and courage because the kids have to put their talents on display and then hold them up for public scrutiny. And the last thing I leave with you, please, 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 don't pull the ball. I'm deeply moved, flattered, and honored to receive this recognition tonight, and thank you.
Coming up, a Southern Oregon coach who has apparently figured out the way to win a lot of basketball games.
Great Athletes, Great Oregonians from the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame is sponsored by Nike and by D.A. Davidson, financial advice for the long run.
D.A. Davidson, financial advice you can trust.
The Oregon Sports Hall of Fame recognizes and celebrates Oregon's rich athletic history. It's built on the premise that the lessons of sport provide a unique opportunity for self-discovery. Through an extensive memorabilia collection and exciting interactive exhibits, the Hall teaches and reinforces character and values. Each year, the Hall commits to lifelong rewards in the form of scholarships awarded to high school student athletes. Contact us about this process and the annual induction ceremony at your Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
If you look at the coaching record of Dan Miles, a 70% winning record over 38 years of basketball, anyone would have to say he's got the puzzle of winning figured out. This coach has 2 national championships, averages 24 wins per season, and ranks 6th in wins in the history of men's collegiate basketball for all levels. Here's the story of Coach Dan Miles.
Danny and I grew up in Medford. I was the youngest kid on the team, really pretty green, and had a lot of seniors, and Danny was a shortstop. The best thing I can say about Danny is, besides just being a great athlete and a great baseball player, was he was like having a mentor and a coach on the field. He really knew the game inside and out, so he was just terrific on the field player. In my mind, there is no doubt that Dan Miles belongs in this Hall of Fame. This guy is amazing. He's just super. He reminds me of John Stockton on the basketball court, except John Stockton's got big hands, Danny doesn't, but Danny was a heck of a basketball player, great passer and good scorer, and he did it all. In football, again, small hands, maybe not super fast, very quick, had a great sense of the field, and at Sauk, he led the nation in small colleges as quarterback at that level. You know, he is a tremendous coach, and Danny is one of those rare individuals that is able to cross over. He could play those sports like nobody's business, but he can coach. He's a great motivator on the field. He knows the game. young men, I think, respect his knowledge of the game. So I consider that a real rare quality to be able to coach and play like Danny's done. I think you see a guy like him, he comes from the guts, because there's nothing else like sports. When you love sports, there's no substitute. It might be politics, it might be war to some people, but if you love sports, it's sports, and that's how I'd personify Danny.
I was very fortunate to have come through the Medford program back in the early 60s when Medford was very dominant in the state of Oregon athletics. You know, I didn't go to clinics or anything. I talked to Ralph Miller my first year. He told me don't make any bounce passes, and so I tried to teach my guys that. And so all those years I've said, Ralph said it, so we don't throw any bounce passes. But for a lot of years, you know, I've got to coach. I've been a head basketball coach. I've been a head baseball coach at college. I'm now a head fast pitch coach. I'm also been assistant football coach for years. And I'll tell you that the young people I've been able to coach, I think I counted up the other day over 5,000 kids in the basin I've coached, either as in my camps or in different sports. Every day has been just a great day. I can't wait to get to work. I'm just turned 50. I'd like to coach for another 12 years if the administration will keep me. But it's been a lot of fun, and it's just a tremendous honor. Thanks for having me tonight.
The Oregon Sports Hall of Fame is filled with memorabilia. A lot of it you can see, touch, and feel. There is some interactive element here. We have Michael Marks' sword. He is a fencer in the '96 Olympics. Katie's holding his épée. He is now the fencing coach at Duke University.
That's right, John. And in this épée, there are 3 electrical sensors and a plunger on the tip that actually record when you strike your opponent, and that sends the judges a signal that you've scored a point. Now, if I just get in my on-guard position here and I actually strike John in the torso just like that, that's what sends the signal that I've actually scored my point.
The defensive move here, called a parry, you would flick the opponent's sword out of the way and attempt to score yourself. Terry Mariani has spent more than 35 years as a Viking at Portland State University. She was monumental in building Portland State and this state into a softball powerhouse.
Terry Mariani has devoted more than half her lifetime to Portland State University athletics as a player, coach, and administrator. Mariani competed in softball, basketball, and volleyball for the Vikings. She was the captain of a softball team that reached the Nationals and played on 2 volleyball squads that reached the postseason. Terry played professionally while she took over coaching duties at Portland State in 1977 and hasn't given up the reins since. In 27 seasons, Terry's teams have won 608 games and advanced to postseason 9 times. This next spring, Mariani should become the all-time winningest Viking coach in any sport. She is the youngest person ever selected for the Portland Metropolitan Softball Hall of Fame and is already enshrined in the Viking Sports Hall of Fame. Terry was also noted as a National Association for Girls and Women in Sports Pathfinder Award. The heart and soul of Portland State University and its softball program, Terry Mariani.
I've had just a great group of young women who have come and played for me. My early teams, I would say, really helped develop me as a coach. They're the ones that I think, if I had to look back and said we're very special, it was probably in the first 8 to 10 years that they taught me how to be a coach and how to work with people. And then probably my most successful team was in '91 when we were ranked #1 most of the season and lost a couple tough games at Nationals, a 17-inning game, and followed right away by a 14-inning game and got knocked out. But too many special memories, Bill. There's no way I could point out any one thing because it's just been 27 years of a great ride. And I had great role models with Irv Lynn Flores. They taught me so much about the game and how to respect the game, and it was a natural fit for me to move into softball because of the great role models I had with them. I truly love the people I work with. I'm proud to be a lifetime Viking. I'm very proud to be a lifetime Oregonian and very honored and proud to be a member of the Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Davidson, financial relationships built on loyalty.
There's kind of a connection between honesty and integrity. You know, with honesty you have integrity, and with integrity you have credibility, and with credibility you have respect, and with respect you have trust. And now, once you have all those things in place, now you can have communication, and you don't deal with personalities, you can deal with issues. And you can be a leader now. And the only way you can be an effective leader, I think, is if people believe in you. And the only way they're going to believe in you is if you're honest, and they can trust you.
A high school football coach for 42 years, tens of thousands of student athletes were touched by this man's unique ability to teach the game. Our next coach from the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame, Dayton High School's Dewey Sullivan.
Oregon sports fans know Dewey Sullivan for the number he produced in 42 years as football coach at Dayton High School. 352 victories, 25 straight playoff appearances, 5 state championships. He is Oregon's winningest prep football coach and has been honored as National Coach of the Year. Dewey Sullivan taught science for much of his school career and was fascinated with human nature. Even at the height of his success, he took the time to attend practices and clinics watching other successful coaches such as Ad Rutschman and Tom Smythe. A Dayton player who made a mistake in a game would not necessarily be pulled out. Instead, Dewey wanted him to have the opportunity to make up for a mistake on his own. And more often than not, they did. And always, the endless reminders to players to tell your mom that you love her. The epic 63-44 playoff victory over high-flying Regis in the 1996 state semifinal game proved the capabilities of Dewey's offensive philosophy. 42 years of encouragement and enthusiasm ended too soon. Dewey left us last fall following a scheduled surgery. The 2006 season became a celebration of his life, and the community of Dayton still celebrates the spirit of Dewey Sullivan.
The lessons these inductees are sharing have the ability to impact all of us. High school student athletes are absorbing the lessons they see every day. We're here with Haley Nye, who is a senior at Catlin Gable. She's headed to Santa Clara University, where she will run track, distance runner, the 1,500 and the 3,000 meters. In team sports, we see people who talk about being a good teammate, working well together. In running, it's different, isn't it? You're out there alone. Mm-hmm. I mean, does that make it more challenging or less challenging? Cross country, it's a little different because sometimes we'll strategically, we'll run together as a pack for the first mile or something like that, just to try and get some of the other times up, and then kind of break away from there. But track's a little different just because that's harder to kind of be strategic with your teammates. It's just kind of however fast you can go in that. When you mentioned running with your dad, how young is too young? I mean, for parents out there who are saying, hey, I want to get my kid active and involved, how old were you, and what do you remember as a young kid running? I probably ran my first race when I was about 6 years old, probably like a all-comers meet. I don't think that there's any age that's too young. It's, as long as they're having fun doing it, then it's definitely worth it. This was a fun thing for you. Yeah, absolutely. And what have you learned running and competing that you can take into college and maybe a career after college? I guess dedication, teamwork are probably the two biggest things that I took away from it. Being a part of the same team for 4 years, like 3 seniors on my team, we've all become really close. I'm best friends with both of them, so. Can you outrun your dad now? Yeah, now I can. I couldn't before when I was a freshman. It was kind of on the brink, but now I could probably beat him at anything under about a 10K, 20K maybe. That's cool. Yeah.
Coming up, the baseball coach who taught aggressive, hard-nosed play with a no-nonsense approach, and his players loved him for it. That's next on Great Athletes, Great Oregonians.
Davidson, financial advice you can trust.
The Oregon Sports Hall of Fame recognizes and celebrates Oregon's rich athletic history. It's built on the premise that the lessons of sport provide a unique opportunity for self-discovery. Through an extensive memorabilia collection and exciting interactive exhibits, the Hall teaches and reinforces character and values. Each year, the Hall commits to lifelong rewards in the form of scholarships awarded to high school student athletes. Contact us about this process and the annual induction ceremony at your Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
Great Athletes, Great Oregonians from the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame is sponsored by Nike and by D.A. Davidson, financial advice for the long run.
A successful baseball coach in many Oregon high schools, Mel Krause was most known for coaching the University of Oregon Ducks for 11 years, where he won 2 Pac-8 division championships. He's another great coach in the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
My first introduction to Mel came in an Oregon State basketball game in Eugene in 1948 in the pit. I later found out what a competitive spirit and how Mel went about things as he played 6 years at third base for our Salem Senators baseball team. And I nicknamed him Tarzan because I often said that if a team had 9 Tarzans on them, Mel Krause's that is, they would seldom if ever lose. You want some other Hall of Fame credentials from Mel? How about these? He was player, captain, and later coach of the University of Oregon baseball team, and he was inducted into the University of Oregon Athletic Hall of Fame last year, 2001, and this year he went into the Portland Interscholastic League Hall of Fame. There was a lot more on Mel, but I think you get the idea that this guy should have been inducted into this Hall of Fame long ago. And by the way, if you're a golfer and you want to play with Mel Krause for even a dime a hole, you better take some money along with you. This guy's a pretty fair golfer too, I'll tell you.
I had 3 coaches that gave me some direction in life and really were tremendous role models. Paul Durham, Ed Warren, and Joe Ensler. And I'm telling you, over the years that I've coached and taught, I have always remembered those 3 gentlemen. You don't know how important it is to have a role model. When I saw how my teammates and classmates respected those 3 men and how much fun they had teaching us and coaching us, and they were getting paid for it, I thought, what a great way to make a living. And because of them, I went into that profession. So I was thankful somebody gave me a chance, and I always remembered that and gave that back. I want to thank the Veterans Committee for nominating me, and I tell you, it's a real highlight of my career. There's not many 250 hitters in the Hall of Fame, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
There's a multitude of successful athletes in the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame, but right there with them are all these amazing coaches. Now, we quantify a successful coach by wins and losses on the court or on the field, but there's so much more, isn't there?
There is a lot more to it, John. You know, I think the best coaches, the most renowned coaches, the most successful coaches really have the ability to use the knowledge and psychology aspects of coaching to not just get in an athlete's head, but be able to push all the right buttons without pushing that athlete away.
And I love when we see the induction ceremonies for the athletes, they're always really quick to credit the coaches. Look for more on future episodes of Great Athletes, Great Oregonians.
D.A. Davidson, financial relationships built on loyalty.